I always like to ask students when they first come in, what do you want to be when you finish this composition degree? And film music is very popular, but actually where students end up is much more diverse than that. There are concert music composers, there are film and TV composers, there are music and media composers, but there are also music journalists, there are also lawyers, there are also doctors who go through this degree, because it's all about being creative. A composition and music technology are integral. Whether you're writing notated music or creating the latest sound worlds or perhaps an installation, technology really is part of every composer's arsenal these days, and particularly young composers.
Well, the course is comprised of various subjects to give you tools to use in your compositions. I did start out writing for various ensembles, more conventional ensembles like chamber orchestras, string quartets, all that sort of stuff. And then as the course progressed, as we kind of got exposed to, different forms of music, I kind of started being more interested in the electronic side of things.
When people first come through the doors of the Conservatorium, of course they see the facilities, which are first class.
You got 7 and 8 turned up.
But for people to come to the Conservatorium to study, it's more about the people. It's about the people that they'll be studying with. We have such amazing tutors here and lecturers, really world-class faculty.
The teachers, they're all practicing composers. I liked a lot of their music. The con, especially in the composition course, encourage you to explore new ways of writing, different techniques, different forms of music, and so it's been really helpful.
We have a real mixture of students within the composition and music technology area. Some students are really fantastic, top-notch performers, and others can't play a single note on any instrument, and perhaps can't even read music that well. But they have a really strong musical imagination, and that for us is the most important part. So in the composition workshop, we had 3 student works written brand new for these visiting professors from a university in Texas. This was a great opportunity for the students to hear their music played by some of the world's best performers. What a fantastic opportunity. It gets the music out of the computer into the real world.
What are the vertical lines for? They generally seem to indicate beats, but they're not vertically aligned with where those beats actually occur in the measure if they're trying to coordinate the 2 players.
When we're looking at this, we're kind of keeping track where we are, each other's line, and just making sure that certain events happen after other events. So when Nathan does something, and just interaction that way.
I was wanting to see how those 2 timbral things work in together.
Yeah, and as notation, again, we're going back to what your intent is. That would be communicated to the player better with less on the page rather than more in this case.
It's quite incredible and very gratifying to see the standard that the students are composing in. So somebody like Alice Chance, for example, who's, I would say, getting more commissions now as a second-year composer than the majority of Australian professional composers.
I'd really love to do a lot of work across a lot of domains, and so you shouldn't be elitist when you're a composer, and you should really make sure that you write music that can be enjoyed by everyone, I think. It's really a lot more about coming from somewhere deeper, I feel, and it can be quite exhausting, really, to try and, extract so much of your soul onto a page.
So just play a little bit of the sound that comes from that window there. Very blue, isn't it? Blue and white.
Well, for me, A flat is blue. So the piece I was working on today was a commission from a friend of mine who's an organ scholar. And so he asked for a 3-movement work, and I decided that I would be inspired by images of stained glass from Gloucester Cathedral and tried very hard to interpret them musically.
One-to-one is, I think, a really important way of teaching, because every young composer comes into the institution in a different form. And I regard my role as a teacher in helping that music come out.
So I wanted to play with that whole melody of having like a...
Alice actually has a unique condition that she has synesthesia. So when she hears sounds, she sees colours. Doesn't work the other way around, apparently.
No, I'm not getting any A flats from your shirt or anything. It's more, about if I experience a sound or any other sensation like touch or taste, it sort of transfers into a visual experience for me as well. And so I find that in my compositional process, it's very multi-sensual. A lot of it is when I'm coming up with material at the piano, it's sort of I'm watching an interaction between colour as well as just musical notes by themselves. I kind of used just something as pure as a C major chord, but in second inversion, and then.
Although we are an institution, we're very non-institutional in the way we go about things. We really do treat each of our students as individuals. So it's a very rich musical environment. Everywhere you walk, you hear music. And that's, I think, a very exciting thing for a young composer to come into.
My absolute favourite thing about studying composition at the Con is the fact that the staff are so understanding of you as an individual. It's not about teaching me how to be a modern composer, it's about teaching me how to be my own composer. I think that is quite rare in terms of conservatories, and so I'm very lucky to be experiencing it here.